Technology's out to get me.
It's the media blackout. Something big must be happening today.
Yeah, I always say that to Erica when she complains about her phone running slow or the internet's messing up. I'm saying something's going down.
But in the end, probably not.
Even if there was, we'd never know. Just like that Vegas shooting.
I knew when I said that, I was like, God damn it, I opened the door for this. Like, as soon as I said it, like, that's why I laughed. Not like that the shooting is funny. Just as soon as I said it, I was like, fuck, I just opened that door.
You can't knock on doors with me. I'll open that bitch.
I'm just going to leave that comment alone.
Oh, man.
Knock on the back door.
Nah, nobody's home if you do that. I think you're mildly retarded sometimes.
I'm not so sure it's mild.
You ever have those situations where you say something and immediately after you just think to yourself, why the fuck did I just say that?
Well, everybody has those moments, man.
I don't know. I think it's more frequent with you.
Oh, no. Oh, if you think some of the ridiculous shit I say that immediately afterward I'm going, why did I just say that? No, usually on the inside I'm laughing at myself. Or maybe the outside. And I'm just going, God damn, I'm funny.
Wow. Are you one of those people that tells a joke and immediately starts laughing at yourself?
Sometimes. If the joke was funny.
You don't even wait for the person you're telling it to laugh first?
I mean, sometimes, I think of some shit to say, and then I'm just, like, somebody will look at me, and I'm, like, standing there kind of chuckling to myself, and they don't know why, because I didn't say it out loud, because, maybe we're in public, and I don't want to say it out loud, but...
Some people might think you're a psycho.
I mean, I might be.
Never know. Do psychos know that they're psychos?
I think, actually, the research shows that they generally think there's absolutely nothing wrong with them.
Actually, I don't know if this has to do with psychos, because psychos is kind of a broad term, right?
Yeah, it's probably like, racist or something.
Well, I didn't mean that. But haven't they said, like...
Derogatory.
Serial killers, don't they have, like, a high opinion of themselves? Like, they have a little bit of narcissism?
I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
I would think so.
It would definitely require a lack of empathy. I mean, well, I don't think like other than like in combat or something that you could kill another person without having to go through the mental process of recognizing that you're killing another person, like you're ending a human life.
Well, not in a moment. Afterwards, maybe.
So I think for like someone who's like a serial killer to be able to do that over and over and over again, they'd have to have a significant lack of empathy.
I would imagine so. Yes.
I mean, maybe they'd have to be almost undead and unfeeling.
Yeah. Well, speaking of serial killers, it's the Friday the 13th episode, and we're going to be talking about horror movies.
Horror movies?
Horror movies. Slashers.
Oh, man, I thought this was about to get really good.
What? How could you possibly make that into something else?
Horror movies.
What about it?
Like movies about horrors.
Oh my god. He's 12, everyone.
Jesus.
Anyway, so let's get this podcast going.
That was punny.
Punny. I hate puns. They're my least favorite form of comedy. I don't even refer to them as comedy. I just refer to them obnoxious bullshit. Don't Don't pun me.
Oh man, where I work, we basically have a daily competition for just who can say the most cringiest. Just what the fuck did you really just say that? Puns.
That's different. Puns, really?
Yeah, basically it's just like it's basically just a thing like we're all bored as shit. So whoever can come up with something that makes 5 people look at them and go, dude, come on. Now
that I'm thinking about it, I think I, to a certain level, envy people who can make pun jokes because I can't. I don't. I guess I just don't think in that way. And every time someone makes a pun joke at me, like I'm sure a lot of people do, I just shake my head with a chuckle and say, "You asshole."
Yeah.
God damn it.
I was going to say that's the usual reaction. I mean, there's been a few that we've come out with, and I've just been like, oh god, you did, dude, fuck you, go away.
What?
Oh, just off the top of my head, I can't think. Like, I mean, it'll be something as simple as like somebody will there'll be a bear on something, and somebody will make like 9 different phrases that have the word bear in it, or talk about how unbearable it is. It's like the most retarded shit. Just like where you just want to be like, all right, you need to go somewhere else right now.
See, I just felt that. I just felt the cringe and just this is unbearable. Actually, here's an example of some puns that I absolutely hate. Is the Injustice 2 Watchtower podcast. I don't know if it's really a podcast. It's just a stream that they do talking about the game. And Steve Brownback, 16-bit, every time he makes his stupid puns about whatever character's going on. Oh, my God.
How he talks about what a fan of Katana he is?
Jesus Christ, I hate that shit. If anybody hasn't seen that, just look that up. He's actually quite good at them, and I hate him even more for it.
I'll give you one from work. Like, of course we've got stuff coming in from pallets. And this was me the other day. Like someone's about to pick up one of the heavier ones. I was like, hang on, pal, let me help you with that. Pallet. Just because I worked the word pallet into the sentence just because there were pallets and we had to stack them. Just that simple. That's stupid. And like 3 people looked at me and was just like shaking their heads.
I think I'd quit my job if someone said that to me.
I'm
done. I'm out.
It's just like, I mean, it's so stupid. It's one of those things you probably wouldn't do if you weren't, insanely bored and trying to pass 8 hours of your life with whatever tiny bits of amusement you can find. But it's still there.
I don't know.
How the fuck did we get here from horror? Oh yeah, because I tried to make a pun off the horror and whore. How it always sounds like you're saying. It always sounds like you're saying whore, like people you fuck after you pay them. But
okay,
you're not.
I think we all know what whores are.
I know, but I'm saying like the 2 words they sound the same through the microphone, or at least through most speech.
I get it.
Do you?
No. Okay, so first I have to ask, what's your favorite horror movie of all time?
It's really more a series.
No, pick one, because I know what series you're going to say.
That's okay. If I had to pick just one out of the series,
which is for the Friday the 13th series, am I right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so pick one of those.
Oh God, it's so hard to pick one of those. Oh man. I mean, part 4 is up there. I mean, Jason getting, meeting his match and a little kid. That's pretty cool. It's either that one, or I might say actually like part 6 where he first gets like resurrected.
Okay.
Where he actually you truly see him become undead. I'd say either part 4 or part 6.
Were those the first horror movies that you remember seeing? Is that why they're your favorites?
The first horror movies I remember seeing would actually be like seeing Night of the Living Dead on TV, like in the middle of the night.
How old were you?
Old enough that zombies scared the scared the fuck out of me. I was like 10 or 11, something like that. Stayed up watching TV, and it used to be. I want to say it's like it might have been. Sorry, it's either.
There you go. Oh my God, the burp start.
It was either TNT or TNN.
Right.
One of them had like it's called like Monster Vision or something that came on at like, it'd be like after midnight.
Yeah.
And they were doing zombie movies, and they did Night of the Living Dead, and then one that I think is actually like unconnected to the Night of the Living Dead series that I've never seen again in my life, called like Return of the Living Dead. It was like really hokey. And there's like a zombie on the table, you know, it's like legs are missing, they've stabbed it through the table to pin it down, and it's like talking to them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I would probably find it super stupid now if I watched it. But
well, I know exactly how that is, because I remember when I was little watching the Leprechaun movies. I don't know if that's what they're called. It's the Leprechaun.
Yeah, they're just called I think it's just called Leprechaun.
Okay. Well, I remember being really scared of that movie. I actually have a memory of being at my aunt's house, and I don't know how old I was. I was probably 7 or 8, something like that. And I remember being super scared of it, and to the point that as an adult, I saw it on, I don't know, Netflix, I guess. And I actually hesitated to watch it because I hadn't seen it again since. But I turned it on just to see, you know, how I felt now. And it was such a stupid movie, and I can't believe I was ever... Because it was kind of like a dark comedy, right? It was kind of meant to be like a violent comedy.
Yeah, and, you know, I can see how that could probably be, you know, scary when you're young. And, like, the zombie thing, I thought about it, you know, years later as an adult. Like, why did those movies scare me so much whenever I was a kid? I mean, like, I watched, you know, Walking Dead now, and a lot of that. I'm actually, like, a season and a half behind because I kind of stopped giving a shit. But I watch Walking Dead, or I watch zombie movies that have come out now, and I'm just like, eh. You know, but I mean, I get that it would be terrifying if it was actually happening, but it doesn't do anything to actually, you know, rattle me now. But whenever you're a kid, I mean, your sense of security is, you know, the people around you that, you know, they take care of you, and you can rely on them and all this stuff, because you can't really take care of yourself yet. And then you think about it, like, I'm watching that movie going like, holy crap, my mom or my dad would eat me. Like, you know, like...
Well, you also don't, you can't really understand the concept of, you know, it's fake. I think at that age, you're like, I'm seeing it, therefore it's real. It could actually happen, right?
No, I mean, I wasn't. I mean, maybe some kids when they're still 10, 11, you know, that age, maybe that's still a thing.
Well, that's kind of older. I'm actually thinking about my son who's 4, and
yeah,
we watch violent movies. We watch horror movies. Erica, my wife, she plays this zombie game, Dying Light. She actually been playing Dying Light a while, but my son will watch it, and he has this thing. It's sort of like his mantra now when watching something scary or violent. Because anytime he gets scared, we tell him it's just pretend. It's just a movie, or it's just a game. It's just pretend. And anytime we're watching something and he gets scared, he'll start saying, "It's pretend, it's pretend, it's pretend." But yeah, I guess 8, 9 years old, I guess you kind of understand it's fake.
Yeah, at the age, I wasn't allowed to watch any of that stuff whenever I was, you know, really young. Probably the scariest shit I watched whenever I was like, you know, 5, 6 years old was a old Nickelodeon show called Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I love that show.
I'm sure if I saw any of that stuff now, it wouldn't be scary at all. But I mean,
there were some bad too.
There were some creepy moments for a child. But at least at that age, I mean, I'm at the age that I could actually watch some of that stuff. And like, if it was rated R and it wasn't like on cut for TV, I couldn't see that shit till I was like 15, 16.
Wow.
But yeah, it sucked. But hey, man, that religious ideals and the upbringing, isn't it fantastic? But
I guess.
Anyways,
I don't think my parents are or were super religious, but they told me that I was watching like Terminator and shit when I was like a toddler, and to some people that's crazy.
Yeah, like if we watch like Terminator 2, it would come on like TV. Obviously, I obviously couldn't watch the real version. Found out that was way more awesome after I was already an adult.
How did they edit that? Do you remember?
It's basically just the removal of a lot of blood. It's
not really that bloody.
It's like blood, and then like there's the actual like sometimes where you're like you see a character die, you just see the gunshot. It's a lot of that kind of shit.
Oh, I do remember one thing that I did watch Terminator 2 on TV once, and the one thing that I remember noticing on what was different was when the T-1000 took that big metal battering ram looking thing and was just jacking up Arnold Schwarzenegger's face with it. I remember.
Yeah, they cut that on the TV version.
Yeah, like the actual version, he hits him. I don't know, 10 times. I don't know, but in the TV version, it was basically like once, and that was it. It was like he had his face was fine, hit him once, and now his face is all jacked up. Didn't make sense.
Yeah, but like just to give you an example of like the level of sheltering we're talking about here, like the scene where the nuke goes off and you see people getting burned up and all that.
Oh yeah, that was pretty graphic. That was pretty disturbing.
Well, like my dad would like block the TV so I couldn't see it.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's what we're talking about here. So like the good shit, I didn't get to see the good shit till I was older. Like the only thing I had like gore and stuff in it, or like any amount of gore and stuff in it, like any amount that I saw, growing up, would have been like Jaws, where you'd see like body parts and stuff floating in the water. Because I guess it wasn't a big deal if nature was doing it. I don't know, but
it's fine when animals rip you to shreds, but when a person rips you to shreds, you can't see that, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to understand the difference here myself, but either way, so. For me, most of my horror experience comes a lot earlier, so I don't have like the memories of like seeing something and like being like, oh shit, that's real and all of that. That's totally out for me. By the time I could see any of it, I was old enough to process, and I was aware that that's a dude with makeup on his face.
Gotcha. So what was the first Friday the 13th movie you saw? The first one?
No, not the first one. I actually didn't see the first one until I had actually seen all of the others. Because I was aware that Jason wasn't the killer, and that made me not give a shit about it. I was like, what? It's like, what? Jason's not in that fucking movie? Oh, fuck that movie.
Yeah, I remember thinking that too. Well, I mean, by the time we were born, what was it? 7? Part
8.
7?
They were already like by the time. Well, at least by the time I was old enough to go in like video rental stores, and I remember seeing them there. They were all the way up to 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
One of them, yeah. One of them. I think the one before that was 88, which was when we were born. And
that's probably part 7, which actually is another one of my favorites.
Yeah,
because that's got the best, in my opinion, the best Jason actor that they've ever had, Kane Hodder.
Didn't he like play Jason for the rest of the series?
He played him 4 times. He played him part 7, part 8, Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason X.
Really, I thought he was in Freddy vs. Jason too.
That was the first one after they made a change, and if I remember right, the only reason they made a change, like he got hurt doing a stunt or something, if I remember, from another movie, so they had to change.
See, I never got into Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, but Freddy vs. Jason was awesome when it came out. I loved that movie.
Yeah, I loved it too. Like it caught a lot of shit from people, but I loved it, and Jason totally won, so that's how it was supposed to go.
Well, I don't know. He was still alive.
I mean, yeah, he's still alive, but look, the one who's not having his severed head carried out is the winner.
I mean, you killed his body, but he's still gonna fuck with your dreams, right? So I think that's how they tried to write it. I think they tried to write it that it was a stalemate. The cop out of no one wins, so no one gets upset.
Yeah, they had this. Okay, so the DVD for it had like this special features thing where you could watch, and they like measured the who was ahead during the movie. Like, it had, like, bars at the bottom of the screen, like, you could watch on your laptop.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, yes, I totally watched it this way. Just to see how they did it.
That's the Goku versus Superman argument all over again. Just a horror movie edition.
Yeah, but at the end of it, though, like, when, at the end of it, when you see Jason walk out, like, the bar shoots, like, way up on his side.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see Freddy wink, it scoots down some, but it still stays like mostly advantage Jason at the end of it.
Well,
so like I took that as an official canonical statement from the studio. Jason wins.
What is that even? That's not based on anything. That's based on opinions.
Who knows? That was probably done by some dude long after the movie was done.
If you were to think about, Jason, at least that version of Jason is supposed to be this towering monster of a person, and Freddy's supposed to be like this average-sized dude with knives on his fingers. I'd imagine one swipe with that machete by Jason would do a lot more damage than what Freddy could do in the same amount of time. So, I don't know. I don't know how they measured it.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be the idea. Like, it's such a weird idea. I mean, because, you've got Freddy, who's basically all-powerful in the dream world, but you've got Jason, who has no need to sleep. Like, they had to go through so many hurdles in the movie to get Jason to be asleep for a little while.
Well,
just so that he could be in Freddy's world.
It was just for fun. I get it.
It really was. It was one of those movies. It was total fan service. That's pretty much the definition of a fan service movie, I think.
Right, yeah. I mean, for sure. Like, it, as far as, like, lore and everything, again, I don't know anything about the lore of either of them, but my wife, she's big, she's a big Freddy fan. Like, she grew up on those movies. And, yeah, she said that movie is basically standalone as far as lore and canon and all that shit, but...
It would have to be, I mean, because nothing else makes really sense.
Yeah. It's well, like, you could also... Here's something I do know a lot about, is the Alien versus Predator movies. They tried to make that, like, actual lore, and it seemed like the audience was like, no,
just don't.
Don't do that. Alien is Alien, Predator is Predator. It was cool the first time you made a movie, but the second one, no, it's not, no. It's just for fun. Just let it be for fun. Not everything has to be lore, canon.
People take movies so serious now. Like, everybody's trying to construct a cinematic universe now. Everybody. It's so weird.
Yeah. Thanks, Marvel.
Well, I mean, Marvel did a good job of it. Now everybody's just like, okay, we got to copy that shit. And it would probably be better if they didn't.
Yeah, I think Marvel was definitely not the first people to do it, because you have movies like Freddy vs. Jason and Alien vs. Predator, but they definitely did it the best.
Oh yeah, and those, and they're still going with it too. I mean, there's going to be basically, from what I understand, a second generation of the Avengers after these actors are done.
Think about this: the first Iron Man, which I don't know if they had the idea of it growing into what it is now, but the first Iron Man, didn't that come out in like 2003 or something like that?
It wasn't 2003. I know I was out of high school already. I think it was like I think it was I'm gonna say 2007.
No, man, I remember being in high school when that. I'm gonna say
it was 06 or 07.
I'm looking it up now. Okay, you're right. It was 2008. Why do I remember, like, I don't know. I think I was. I don't know.
Because our mushy little human brains have shitty memories.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still, I mean, that's almost 10 years.
Yeah. And, but, oh yeah, I got off topic and totally didn't answer your question from earlier. Which one of the Friday the 13th movies I saw first? As best I can remember, I saw Part 6 on TV first.
Okay.
And because I remember seeing the whole, I had the typical horror movie fan experience where, he goes to the graveyard, he's digging Jason up, and I'm just like, why the fuck are you digging him up?
Yeah, that's something I have a huge problem with in horror
Why
movies.
are you digging him up? Why? I've got to see him. I've got to know he's dead. Dude, bad idea. And then, he has his little rage moment and starts stabbing him with the the fence post, and then of course that gets hit by lightning, and lightning brings people back to life, of course, in horror movies. You know, you gotta have the Frankenstein shout out there.
I guess.
At least that's what I feel like that was. I think they were trying to do like a Frankenstein callback shout out type thing. And I don't know. I mean, those movies they're so campy and even predictable at times, but I still love it. And
can't explain why. You just do, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things. And you know, I'm one of those people. Like I watch Friday the 13th movies. I do not pull for those shitty camp counts for kids. I do not.
Is that a thing? Do people pull for them?
I think there must be some people, right, that don't just go, come on, Jason, come on, no, don't kill him.
Well, I don't know about today, but I would imagine back, you know, when they were released in the 80s, I think people just went to see a movie to see a movie. They weren't like, no, I'm team campers, I'm team Jason, you know, it's just watching a movie.
Well, I didn't mean like team, but I mean at certain points in the movie, I'm just like, you know, basically you see somebody get in the shower and you're just like, haha, you're fucked. Because everyone knows you don't shower in a horror movie. It's not allowed. If you get in the shower, you're dead.
You don't shower. You don't check what the noise was outside.
You don't have sex. You do not have sex. If you have sex in a horror movie, you're dead.
Yeah, that was one of the rules that Scream brought up, is that if you're a virgin, you survive.
That's why I love Scream. I love Scream for like... While having, you know, a pretty cool slasher flick going on with an actual, you know, if you haven't seen it before, good twist ending at the end.
Yeah.
You know, that's, with an actual, you know, good writing to it, they also made fun of so many of the tropes of, you know, the horror genre while using those tropes. It's pretty awesome.
I think, I mean, I'm no horror movie expert by any means. I mean, I haven't seen all the Jasons or Freddy movies, so, but...
I've seen every Friday the 13th, and every Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And every Halloween.
I've seen the Halloweens. I love that. That's probably, if I had to pick, like, my favorite old or older horror movie series, it would probably be the Halloween series. I don't know why.
Well, we asked for comments last time, and that is one of our YouTube comments. It's actually from my girlfriend. She, her input was that her favorite horror movie was the original Halloween.
Michael Myers. Yeah.
Yep.
But what I was going to say is that I think Scream was sort of the resurrection of horror movies because, you know, after the 80s, especially in the late 80s, they started to kind of die down a little bit. Like in the 70s, you had the Shock Theater, which had Wolfman, Dracula, things like that. And then came the 80s where you had Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. Was that the
very late 70s, and Halloween's kind of the one that got the whole slasher, you know, the teenagers run from the killer genre going. And
right. You also had The Exorcist, which was early 70s.
Yeah, and that's actually a total, you know, see, there's so many different subgenres to horror because that's a totally different type of horror. And The Exorcist...
That holds up today. People get freaked out today on that movie.
Well, I mean, think about it. The loss of control of yourself. That's a very deep, you know, fear. Like, there's little allegories you can draw there to, you know, different types of depression and psychosis and ways that the mind is rationally aware that it really can lose itself anyway. Like, you don't actually need a demon possession to go crazy.
That's really interesting because, like, you take these slasher flicks with Michael Myers, Freddy, and Jason. They're killers. They're a thing. Well, Freddy, debatable, but whatever. There's always moments in those movies where you're like, I'd have shot him, I'd have done that, or I wouldn't have done that, you know. But with The Exorcist, it's yourself, and you can't help it. I think you're onto something with that. That's really interesting.
Something has taken you over, and you're not you anymore, and you have no control, and you can't do anything about it. That's a whole different type of fear to imagine, you know, yourself taken over by something and you're essentially now a spectator inside your own body while this thing does what it's going to do. And, you know, I think the others are a bit more playing on the fear of almost like a force of nature. The same type, you know, the fear of a killer like Jason is the same as the fear of, like, you know, like a natural disaster. You think you can do something about it, but you can't really. Yeah, you shoot it. Well, we see people shoot it, and he keeps coming. You see people do all sorts of shit to him, and he just keeps coming. So it's kind of more like the fear of a force of nature. You can run and run and run. You can fight, but you're really just delaying the inevitable. Nature's coming, and it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I think that's that type of fear. But the fear of you being taken over by something and you're not yourself anymore, that's the fear I think that plays on. And I think that's scarier to some people than thinking of, a 6'6" really strong guy with a machete. I think thinking of actually being taken over by something is far more terrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
And Freddy kind of like toes a middle line between, those two types of fears. It's not like a fear of possession or something, but I mean, everybody's got to sleep at some point.
Yeah. I think between the holy trinity of, 70s and 80s horror movies, you have those three. I think Freddy is probably, to me at least, would be the most scariest. Yeah,
I mean, Freddy would be like, and there's probably somebody like that can actually lucid dream that's just like, that's not that bad. I can do shit in dreams too. And you see that in, of course, the third movie. But
did they know about that back then? Did they know about lucid
dreaming? I would think they did, because I mean, it seems like that would be the most likely inspiration for, them actually having some degree of power inside their dreams, because I mean, lucid dreaming and some of the things that are connected to it have been around for a pretty long time.
Makes sense. But yeah, like Scream, bringing it way back to what I was saying about Scream.
Oh, yeah.
Scream was kind of like the resurrection of horror movies. Scream came out in the mid-'90s, and I think it sort of jump-started the horror genre in going into the early 2000s, where the early 2000s you had The Ring. The Ring was an awesome movie. You had the Saw series, which has been done to death. I like the first, 3 of them maybe. After that,
none of those actually.
They were pretty good. It was more, they weren't scary. It was more like shock horror type stuff, I think.
Yeah, mixed that's in with actually a little, why I didn't dig it.
Well, it was shock horror for sure. But it also had that flavor of psychological thriller almost.
There's an almost forgettable movie like right after Scream 2, or forgettable now, like if you're really not thinking about it. But you also had the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies in that same slasher genre, like right on the heels of Scream, just a year later.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of those. I basically just watched those for what's her name, Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was just nice to look at.
And of course, there's Sarah Michelle Gellar's in that, and she got to have the nice honor of dying in both the Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer series. Before becoming Buffy.
Speaking of 90s horror movies, do you remember the Blair Witch Project?
Man, I tried to watch that movie like years later. I didn't watch it whenever I was a kid. And I tried to watch that probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, because it was one of those things.
Really late.
It was one of those things like I couldn't watch it when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then by the time I was old enough to watch it, I didn't really have a big interest. I'd kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And then I just saw it, and I was like, okay, I'll watch this. I'll try to watch this movie. Dude, I watched like 30, 40 minutes of that thing, and I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm not spending another hour or so of my life on this.
You were just bored?
I was just bored. I mean, maybe it's because it's one of those movies that I don't think it's aged well, because anybody with a YouTube channel can make a shaky cam thing like that now.
Well, you also got to think of the time that it came out, right? I mean, you have like the Exorcist movie, which stands up today as far as what it was supposed to do, but if it wasn't for the Blair Witch Project, you wouldn't have these other, in quotes, found footage movies like Paranormal Activity, which I know Paranormal Activity has pretty much become a meme of itself, kind of like Saw has. But the first one, I really liked the first one. It was really good. But if it wasn't for the Blair Witch Project, I don't know if that kind of a thing would have happened.
Yeah,
I did see it.
Maybe not.
I did see it when it came out. I don't know how I saw it, but I did, and I was actually scared. I was terrified to go camping for a while. But yeah, if I was to watch it today, I'd be like, this is stupid. I ain't watching this shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I was too late to the party to enjoy it. I do believe, and that's that's okay. But whenever I do think you're right though. I think without Scream we don't get that kind of big resurgence of horror movies that's happened, and it seems like the psychological type of horror is a lot bigger now than the old "it's a killer with a knife, run" genre that got so big for a while. Because I mean, have you seen?
I tripped over nothing.
Have you seen The Babadook?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's actually pretty creepy. Like it starts out being kind of annoying, and it actually gets pretty creepy in some spots. I thought it was pretty well written and designed to be, messed up and fuck with your head a little bit. That said, at times you'll just wish you could literally choke that stupid kid that's in the movie. But
yeah, I haven't seen that. Actually, to be honest with you, I know we're talking about it and we're kind of dedicating an entire episode to horror movies, but I'm very, very hesitant to watch any horror movies, especially new ones, just because, it's kind of like a running joke now that horror movies are notoriously bad. Once in a while, you'll get like a gem of a movie, like I guess you said, Babadook was good. But then you have these other ones that are just god awful, like especially nowadays, because nowadays you have so many different exposure to things, and you have like movies like Cabin in the Woods. What's another one? Movies that have been hyped up a lot, like you had Sinister, The Conjuring was another one. You have these movies that were just hyped up, saying this is the scariest movie since whatever. And I watched those, and I'm like, it was all right. Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that the genre is pretty played out. Like every now and then, you just have to do a big twist to surprise people and all that. But yeah, I don't think it's a genre you watch because you're looking for an absolute classic bit of cinema or anything like that. That's probably my problem.
not that there's too much of that floating around these days anyway, but
yeah,
I mean a lot of things are basically pretty much repeated tropes.
Especially Cabin in the Woods. Like that was probably the most disappointed.
I heard it was bad and I didn't watch it.
That's the thing. I didn't hear it was bad. You had the hype up to it, and then you had I rarely go to the movie theaters. It has to be something I know I want to watch.
I think you're actually the one that told me it was bad, now that I think about it.
That's my opinion. Watch it yourself. But especially because everyone, my wife included, was like, that was a great movie. And I'm just like, it made no sense. It made no sense. It had this twist that was just out of left field. To me, it just didn't make sense. And
that's how I felt when the killer was laying on the ground in Saw. Like you've been laying in the room the whole time. You fucking. I was like, why?
That was great, though. I love that twist.
You set all this shit up and you predicted every last little move they were doing. See, that was the jump the shark moment for me. I was just like, you did not predict every last fucking thing these two people would do while you were laying on the fucking floor in the middle of this room. Because obviously you weren't talking to them and you weren't doing so many of these things. You were laying on the ground, and neither one of those two motherfuckers noticed that you had to breathe. This guy is a cancer patient with lung cancer, and nobody noticed him going on the friggin' ground.
All right, Jesus Christ, breathe.
Sorry, so bad.
I thought. Well, first of all, I thought he took whatever it's called that lowers your heart rate or whatever. I thought that's what he took.
You still got to breathe,
but. Well, that's one of the appealing things, at least to me, about the Saw series. Again, first three, I don't give a shit about the others. Is it kind of plays on what a person might do when put in very high stress situations. Like, would you save yourself, or would you go out of your way to save your friend or a family member? And yeah, I thought it was really interesting in that sense.
I thought they were basically just gore porn, like with shit writing.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what a lot of people got out of it.
I was like, Jesus, this is just gore porn with shit writing. And
there was only one part. I don't even know which Saw it was. There was only one part that I actually had to turn away because I was that disgusted. And whoever knows this, put down in the comments which one it is, because I actually want to rewatch it. But there was a scene where the obstacle they had to do was cut off like chunks of their flesh and put it on a scale, and they had to cut off a certain number of pounds or whatever of flesh. And this guy, it was like a bigger guy, right? And he started like cutting his stomach off or something like that. And I was just, oh no. Mm-mm.
See, that's just disgusting. I'm so glad I stopped watching those. I literally, I walked out of the theater on Saw 2. It's probably it is the only movie I've ever just walked out of theater on. And I stayed in the theater for Sausage Party, goddammit.
Hey, I like that movie. What's wrong?
That movie's so shitty.
Dude, first of all, I think it's... Dude, no. I'm calling you out right now on your bullshit. You walked out on Sausage Party... But you like Crank?
I didn't walk out on Sausage Party. I watched Sausage Party. I walked out on Saw 2.
Oh, okay.
I walked out basically right after the intro of Saw 2.
Anyway.
Dude was digging a key out of his eyeball. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting here and watching this.
Okay, fine. I heard you wrong. But you're dissing on Sausage Party, but you like the Crank movies.
Dude, I've watched them both. The Crank movies are better. Crank is awesome.
No, there's something seriously mentally wrong with you.
It's like a parody of the action genre. I don't think anybody got that.
No, I get it. I just can't watch it.
It's absolutely hilarious. The second one's hilarious, too.
Sausage Party actually, I don't know, blow me up, anyone who, if I'm out of my mind, but I think Sausage Party had sort of an underlying meaning behind it, and I appreciated that.
I don't know if there was an underlying meaning behind that movie, dude.
Well, whatever. That's your interpretation. I got it. Whatever. Anyway,
I feel like they made that entire movie. I feel like they made that entire movie to do that giant food fuck scene at the end of it.
That was one of the best parts of the movie. What are you talking about?
It's like the only funny part of the movie. Like, I sat there so long during that movie, like, when is something I'm going to laugh at going to happen? And by the way, I watched that movie stoned. And if I'm stoned and I'm not laughing...
And I watched it 100% sober. I don't know what the deal is. You'd think it'd be reversed, right?
I mean,
because they were for sure stoned out of their minds when they wrote that.
I mean, because since we're talking about horror movies, and especially, you brought up Crank. I haven't watched it sober, so I don't know if I'd like it as much as I did back then. But,
nope.
But horror movies, man. I've watched some of them, stoned in my lifetime, and sometimes I start laughing. Like, I know it's not supposed to be funny, and I'll just start laughing at whatever's going on.
Like what?
Like whenever, for example, like if the killer grabs some chick by her hair, right, and she's not kicking, she's not like really doing much to get away from him. She's like holding on to his wrist, which is obviously making the stunt easier. And just screaming bloody murder. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, he's got you by your hair. You could literally lurch your neck forward, rip the hair out of your scalp, and run.
That hurts.
Yeah, it hurts, but it hurts less than death, I imagine.
I don't know.
But no, I'll just see that stuff, and I'll be like, what are you doing? Or, of course, the classic, killer bursts through the door, run upstairs. like as soon as that happens, I was about to start laughing. I'd be like, "Yep, good escape plan, Jethro." Like,
speaking of laughing at things you probably shouldn't laugh at, me and my dad have this kind of an inside joke. It's an inside joke in that we're the only ones who laugh at it. I'm trying to tell it. Hold on. It's in RoboCop, the first RoboCop. Do you remember it? Did you see it?
It's been like 10 years or so, but
oh, okay.
Well, I roughly recall it.
It's the scene where Emil, one of the henchmen, drives his van into this big tank of toxic waste. Do you remember this? It was at the steel mill at the end of it.
No. I think I might need to rewatch that because I think I watched it, kind of drunk and don't really remember it all that well.
Damn, it's a fantastic movie. Actually, I don't watch it just for this scene. I watch it because it's a great movie. But he drives his van into this tank of toxic waste, I guess, whatever, and it like floods the entire van and everything, and he gets washed out into the street. And his skin is just melting off of his entire body. And he's just like, oh, help me, help me.
It's one of those things where it's just like overacted as shit.
No, it's not really. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It probably was a little bit, but I guess that's part of what makes it so funny. And he one of the other henchmen, I can't remember this guy's name, but he like rounds a corner and meets him, and he just kind of like falls on him going, help me, and the other guy's just like, oh, get away from me. Oh my god, you need to watch it, man. You need to watch it.
Holy crap, maybe I've never seen that. This should stick out in my head. Maybe I haven't seen RoboCop, and I just think I have.
Man, okay, hold on.
I know I've seen clips of it on TV. I know I've seen bits and pieces.
Go to YouTube and look up that scene for me.
Like right now?
Yeah, right now.
What the hell do I even call it? A RoboCop shit death?
Hold on. I'm looking it up too so I can tell you. Yeah, okay. Look up RoboCop and meal death. I just saw the picture. Oh my god. Okay. Hold on a minute. I'm going to unplug my headphone, my headset, so I can record this scene. Hold on.
I'm watching it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here it is. Okay, he's driving. He's trying to run him over.
Okay, now I gotcha.
It just floods. It just pushes him out the back of the van. Oh my god! What a shitty way to go. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, they cut away to the car chase. It's really a great movie, though. Oh my god, he's gonna walk out into the street! He's gonna walk down the street, he's gonna get hit by the car! It just explodes all over the car! Oh my god! Oh, okay. Oh, that's the end of it. Isn't that not the funniest shit you've ever seen in your life?
I mean, it's pretty funny. But it's mostly the way he's walking. Like, what is that?
That's brilliance, man. That is... Oh my god. Whoever that actor is deserves an Oscar just for that scene. That was amazing.
I don't know if you get an Oscar for that.
Oh man. That was great.
Oh God. What have I seen? But
Oh, by the way, was that RoboCop? Yeah, that was the first one. Okay, yeah. Oh, man. My face hurts.
yeah. So that's something I've seen today now.
Yeah. You're welcome. Oh my God. What were we talking about before that? Oh, I was going to say like
laughing at shit you shouldn't.
I don't know where that came from. You know what there's one movie that has stood out to me ever since it released as being one of the only movies, especially of the recent horror genre, like I guess, 2000s to today. And it wasn't so much the premise of the movie that scared me. It was, well, I guess in a way. It was The Descent. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen The Descent.
Okay. Well, the basic premise is that this group of girls, they're going cave diving. And it's actually, if I remember right, they're going to an uncharted cave system somewhere in North Carolina. And, they get down there and one of the women wants to like check out this, this part of the cave that was uncharted. They didn't know where it led or anything like that. Anyway, they end up getting lost inside this cave. Which is, that's pretty scary in and of itself. One of the reasons I don't do cave diving is I don't want to get lost and I don't want to get stuck. But it doesn't really freak me out to see that. But maybe, I don't know, halfway through the movie, maybe, they discover that there's things inside the cave. And it comes out of nowhere. Like you think this is going to be like a movie about these chicks getting lost in a cave, and that's super scary, claustrophobia, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they find out that there's these creatures that are living in this cave, and apparently they're like similar to, if I'm remembering right, they're similar to humans, but they evolved in these caves, so they can crawl all over the cave walls and shit, and they can't see, like they're totally blind, but they can hear and smell everything, kind of like a bat, I guess. But there was this one moment in the movie where their lights go out, that cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And all they have is the camera that they're recording on. And it turns to, like, the camera's perspective, kind of like the found footage type thing. And all you see is so subtle and so, in my opinion, so perfectly done that all it is the camera's going crazy. They're trying to look around. They're starting to freak out because they're lost, and they're yelling out, "Help, help!" And all it is that the light kind of passes by behind one of the girls, and all you see is this creature just standing there, staring at her. Not doing anything, just standing there. And I remember seeing that being like, oh, shit! Like, it freaked me out. And, the rest of the movie is them trying to get out of the cave and deal with them, and it's a decent movie, but it was one of the only movies that come to mind that actually scared me. Especially of recent, horror movies.
Yeah, I can't recall like a recent horror movie that's actually scared me. Like a little bit of creep out or like, oh shit moment, sure. But
like what? It's not a jump scare, right? Because that's like a pet peeve of mine.
Oh, no. Like, I was just thinking like how that there is like a moment in the Babadook that's pretty creepy. Where like the things like crawling across the roof all backwards and shit. And I'm like, yeah.
Like Grudge style?
Yeah, a little bit. Grudge, whenever I saw it in high school, was pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy, but it didn't... I don't know. It didn't really scare me. It didn't interest me. It was just creepy. My wife, though, she doesn't do the... Yeah, that sound. Like, I'll troll her every now and then. I haven't done it in a while. But I'll make that sound, and she'll like straight up hit me. She's like, "Stop it!" But like, she doesn't do The Grudge, and she doesn't do The Exorcist. Don't even talk about those things to her. She doesn't want to see them again.
Yeah, my girlfriend hates that noise too. Mean thing I did to her, like whenever we were like first dating. I don't know if she even remembers this shit, but she was just minding her own business. That doesn't. I basically just like walked into a room that was dark, where she wasn't didn't know I was there, and then I put like all my. I've got long hair. I put like all my hair in front of my face.
Oh my god!
And then like as soon as she just like was walking by, I just like come around. I just like come out of the room like really quick, like and grabbed her, and she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, oh, it's just a terrible thing to do because that is pretty creepy. I've noticed like that particular like The Grudge, it like creeps out girls more than guys for some reason, but
I don't know. It is creepy though. Well, okay, so we've talked about old stuff, new stuff. If you had to, let's try to wrap this one up. If you had to make a top, let's say a top 5 horror movies of all time.
Oh shit, that's hard.
Well, take your time. There's no rush, but think about them.
Oh man, that's actually really hard to do. I'm just going to go with like 5 I love. Instead of actually trying to do like a definitive all time, because A, I've not seen everything, and
well, it's your opinion. I'm not asking for,
and B, it's one of those things that it's like my 5 favorite albums that it could change, and
yeah, we get that. Just give me your fucking top 5.
Oh shit, I don't know what my absolute like favorite of the genre would be. Actually, yeah, I actually. One of my absolute favorites of the whole genre. I'll go ahead and throw this one in at number 1. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Okay. Absolutely love that movie. The Dream Warriors. It's kind of interesting to see Freddy be challenged, but at the same time still be Freddy.
Yeah.
And it's got that one of my favorite Freddy kills in it. The one where he's walking the kid down the hall, like using his veins as like puppet strings.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally fucked.
They had there's a Halloween store near our house that has the Halloween decorations, and one of those is like a dead body or whatever, and you literally hang it up. You hang the decoration up by the thing's veins, kind of like that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wanted it.
All right, after that, I'd have to say, I'd actually have to go with my favorite Friday the 13th movie to get it in there, Part 6, man, because it's kind of cool seeing Jason come back for some revenge. It's also a turning point of the series. It's where he's truly undead instead of supposedly a guy who's really hard to kill, even though he acted kind of supernatural before that. But
he's basically like a zombie, right?
Yes,
but you don't
essentially.
But you don't like zombie things anymore.
Well, I mean, but not all zombies are like. He seems smart for a zombie. Like
he has
or
character.
At least hell bent on his primary focus of killing whatever he looked at last.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's not whatever he looked at last, because you see in Part 8, he's chasing the 2 people that he's after through the streets of New York, and people get in his way, and at one point he even shows his face and terrifies them away, but he doesn't just start slashing everything he sees. He's dead after those 2.
Okay.
So it's not just whatever he sees, I guess. So he's not brainless.
He's Jason.
Yeah, he's still Jason. After that, I would probably actually say, I'm so gonna get blown up for this one. I'm basically just picking favorites out of series I liked. By the way, this is a shit top 5.
That's what I'm asking.
I actually love the Halloween Rob Zombie remake. I know it's not popular. I know a lot of people hate it, but I prefer it over the original. Body count's way higher, which is important in a horror film, let's be honest.
I think if you take a movie like that where it wasn't really a rewrite, it was like a remaster in a sort of way. I think if you're that much of a purist in horror movies that you would shit on that and, no, the original's best, I think you're an asshole.
A lot of people don't like that you spent time showing what a fucked up kid Michael was before the actual murder. I think they don't like that. But anyways, and there's, you know, the other thing people hate about that movie is it seems like almost everyone he kills, they go out of their way to make sure that you think they're an asshole beforehand, so you're almost more sympathetic to him instead of, you know, the victims. Like, it's kind of going backwards on the horror movie thing. But that's Rob Zombie's thing. He does that all the time. Anybody who's seen The Devil's Rejects, he does stuff to make them seem relatable even though they're completely sick.
It seemed like his version of Halloween, the first one, was... It was kind of like an underlying message of people who were... I mean, they basically say it in the movie. Like, people who were born in certain circumstances and people who were brought up in certain circumstances are just... Michael Myers was just a perfect storm of both of those that created this insane killer.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, so that's 4.
That was 3.
Was it 3? Okay,
yeah, it was 3.
Right.
That was 3. After that, I would have to say The Exorcist, because that is an absolute classic. That's one of those movies, like, the effects don't hold up, but the premise and the creepiness, that movie holds up now.
Yeah.
So
that's why they've tried to remake it so many times.
Yeah, and they all suck. Leave it alone. Don't remake that. Leave that movie alone. They did it right. They did it right the first time. Leave it alone. Really
seemed like it had this certain atmosphere, just a creepy atmosphere. Even when nothing was going on, it was just creepy.
And I'm gonna end my top 5 with something that I don't know
you think
everybody
though?
Else. Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, it's like, it comes around right at the time that, you know, the satanic panic was going on in the country too. So, you know, you get the demons and stuff involved, and
yeah,
it was like the right film at the right time.
Right.
And
okay, so that's 4.
I'm actually gonna throw one that probably most people don't necessarily think of particularly as a horror movie very often, but fucking Jaws, man.
Ugh.
Dude, no, Jaws is awesome.
Ugh.
Jaws is awesome.
Blah.
But God, there's so many honorable mentions. Like, the whole Scream series is fantastic. Halloween H2O is awesome.
Okay. So that's your top 5. Me, I think I have a lot of old school ones in mind. I would have to say, even though I do like the originals, I actually do prefer Rob Zombie's Halloween as well. Just because if you were to watch the first Halloween especially after watching Rob Zombie's Halloween, there's really there's no real reason why Michael Myers becomes Michael Myers as you know him. If I remember right, the first Halloween starts with the scene of him sitting on the stairs and the police coming.
You see through his mask as he kills one.
Okay.
As he kills one.
It's been a long time since I've seen the original.
Yeah, it's shot through through the clown mask, and you can see the knife, and then you see his sister that he kills through the mask.
Gotcha.
And he also doesn't kill his whole family in the original movie like he does in the Rob Zombie one.
Okay. Well, okay, that's my number 1. And it's not like these are in any specific order. But number 2, definitely The Exorcist. I think The Exorcist has been what so many horror movies have tried to be, if not in premise, but in tone. And they haven't been able to touch it.
I only think one other movie has tried to do the whole possession thing and did it so well that it was its own thing and it was still really good, and that would be Exorcism of Emily Rose.
It was only okay.
I actually really liked it. I thought they added something new to it there.
Okay. Well,
especially with the cinematic telling of it, telling it through the court trial.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just didn't care for it. Number 3, I have to go with The Shining. It's probably cliche to say, too. It's like The Exorcist and Shining. They have to be on everyone's list, right? But I like it because, A, Jack Nicholson. B, is the premise of it as well. Just like what we were saying about The Exorcist being something out of your control. I mean, it's someone going insane.
Yeah, it's madness.
Yeah, and it's not so much scary to me, but it's interesting for me to watch. So that's definitely number 3. Number 4, I have to give to Scream, just because, like I said, it kind of jump-started the horror franchise again. And it wasn't just a horror movie, it was a horror movie talking about other horror movies. And I thought that was genius.
Yeah, I really wanted to put that in mind, too, because it's one of these things where, like, my top 5 could have, like, 30 movies in it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like...
Gosh, they've all been, except for Scream, they've been really old. What was that? Was that 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what are we considering horror movies?
Well, yeah, I just consider, like, something that's supposed to be, terrifying on some level. I mean, I put Jaws in there just because, come on, there were people who were literally afraid in real life to go swimming in the ocean after that movie. I mean,
yeah.
You don't know what's lurking beneath the waves. I mean, and Jaws at times acts almost as sentient as some of the killers in some of the other movies. He definitely seems to have targets.
I know what my number 5 is. I would have to go with The Ring.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Just because it's such an original idea, I think. Even though it's kind of out there and kind of like, what? Okay, she comes out of the TV. She kills you just because you watched that videotape. But it was so original and so well done that that has to be on my list. My honorable mention, and the only reason why I put it on my honorable mention is because it's considered a horror movie, but I consider it more a thriller than anything, is Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Like, even without Bob Hopkins, is that his name?
Right. I'm making sure that's right.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Bob Hopkins?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But even if Bob Hopkins wasn't in the movie, I still think it would have been a pretty decent thriller or horror movie, whatever you want to label it. But especially since that part wasn't supposed to be as big as it turned out to be, his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter is just... it makes the whole movie to me. I mean, I think that's I think that's really the reason why it spawned sequels and prequels that, it's debatable if they were good or not, but he stole the entire movie for sure.
I totally fucked that up for you, by the way. That's Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, damn it! Who's Bob Hopkins? That's the person.
A different actor.
That's the Bob Hopkins. That's the guy that played...
He's been in the Twilight Zone and a bunch of other stuff.
Was that the guy that played Smee in Hook?
I didn't see that.
Dude, you don't watch anything that's good.
No, yeah. I watched Crank. That's good.
Yeah, that's him. And it's Bob Hoskins, not Hopkins.
There is a Hopkins, too.
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm just all kinds of retarded. He doesn't have a picture on his IMDb.
Yep. But anyway.
Yeah, that's my list. So Anthony Hopkins, sorry, Anthony Hopkins, just in case you're listening.
He's not.
Yeah, so that's my list.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good list. And that's a total blow up that we didn't know. I was thinking, like, that doesn't sound right, and then I looked at it and I just saw that he was an actor, and I was like, oh, okay, that's probably it. And then I was like, I know it's Hopkins.
It didn't
and
sound...
and then I looked at his face and I was like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And... But anyways,
Hoskins, I think it's easy to mix it up. Anyway, so ready to wrap this up?
Oh, I suppose so. Seems about right.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about next week? You have any ideas?
I have no idea. In my head right now.
We could always talk about Trump again.
I don't want to talk about Trump anymore. God damn it. Just impeach him already so I can stop thinking about it.
All right, well, I guess we'll figure out what we're talking about next week. Nothing really special. We still have a couple weeks out before the Halloween special.
Yeah, I guess that one we'll talk about some real paranormal shit. And I did some air quotes when I said real if nobody could hear them in my voice.
Oh, we'll definitely get in that debate. They're real, man. You don't even know.
Yeah, they're about as real as a porn star's titties, okay?
Part of them are real. They don't replace the whole thing. They just put fake stuff inside of it.
Yeah, it started true and then it got blown out of proportion.
There you go. We figured it out. But thanks you all for listening. We really appreciate it. Please like and share with everybody that you know.
Every last person, especially your pastor.
Everybody. Even random people you see on the street. Tell them about us too. You know the drill. Until next week, my name is Sean.
And I'm John.
Later, guys. Thank you.